What's up everyone, Gogan here, so excited to come back at you with another tutorial, okay? This one obviously is going to focus on a walk cycle, okay? But there's something I actually wanted to do a little bit differently. I want to do a whole series of like taking one character and going through all the animations that you would possibly see in a game. Here, take this character and now have at it, right? Go ham with the character. And that's what you usually get at a studio. You know, have a studio giving you a character and be like, okay, the model's done, the rig's done, here's the character. And then it's up to the animator to kind of take that and go to town. Unless the director has a specific say, or once you develop the character, you might show it, and then the director's like, well, we wanted to go in this direction. Then you got to change it and all that other stuff. But this here, I have this awesome, you know, she's a robo cyborg girl, and I'm like, you know, I can give her skateboard because I love skateboarding. It's freaking awesome. And so, yeah, I found the skateboard rig and I found this girl rig. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this character fully through a game animation series. This channel is about animation and pushing your animation skills and getting your characters, you know, getting your animation skills better. So that's what we're doing. The set of animations that you can expect to see in a game studio environment when you're given a character. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we go any further, guys, I just want to take a moment to recognize Roman Jeffrey. This guy is a beast. He works at a TV studio, okay? And so he knows how to make rigs. You've seen his rigs, right? I've seen him before online. He's got this free ninja rig. He's got the Azula rig. She's awesome. She's free. They're only 24 bucks, so they're like feature quality rigs, or like at least TV quality rigs, right? Which are pretty robust. The cool thing is this girl, the skateboard character we're going through in this series is right here on his website. She's a great model. She's got great stuff happening with her, and it's only 24 bucks. If you look at her, all of his rigs, they're $24, which is a steal for a fantastic rig. Or you can buy the entire pack of all these guys for 144 bucks. Well, these dinosaurs are great. I've looked at them. They're awesome. And I'm actually going to be doing some tutorials with these dinosaurs and doing some facial acting with them. So hop on over to builtbycolossus.com and go check out his rigs. The other really cool reason why you should go to the builtbycolossus.com website and buy the Robogirl rig is because you'll get an extra 15% off with code Gogan at Robogirl. Okay, that's Gogan_Robogirl. Apply that coupon at checkout and you'll receive an extra 15% off. Thanks, guys. You rock. Happy animating. First things first. When you get a character for at your studio, a lot of people are going to be like, a lot of animators are going to be like, yeah, you know, I start my animations with the idle animation, okay? And, you know, I used to do that. But then as I furthered in my career, and I started enjoying walk cycles, because I used to hate walk cycles, right? They're scary. Walk cycles are scary. Like, there's a lot of body mechanics. You can very easily get walk cycles wrong. There's plenty of things that are scary about walk cycles. But once I started learning the body mechanics and really honing in on like walk cycles, I really started enjoying them, and that's what really brings out the character. So honestly, now whenever I get a character, I will actually start with a walk cycle. I won't do an idle first. I'll do my walk cycles. A walk cycle kind of really defines a character. You know, idles are pretty generic, right? They're standing there, they're breathing, they're they're doing their bobbing, okay, back and forth and all that stuff. And every so often you'll get an idle break where they'll, you know, break away and look, or maybe this girl's going to look at her skateboard, whatever, right? And we'll do those too, because that's what you're going to expect in a game pipeline. But this walk cycles to me is what really brings a character to life. You know, you can start to play with their body mechanics, and like this girl, if I wanted to push her a little bit farther, maybe she has a limp or something, but you know, she's a badass cyborg, so you know, I'm just gonna give her she's used to having this leg, and when we get to like the skateboarding animations, because we're gonna do those too, that's when we're gonna really start to see her leg shine and her arm and all these cool other stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our first poses. Right? And actually, I want to open up a fresh file. Okay. And one of the cool things about like walking through this process, doing it first, and then walking through it with you guys is it may not come out looking exactly like this at the very end. You know, no one animation is ever going to come out looking the exact same when you do it over again. Might look better, might look worse, but that's the beauty, right? No one animation is going to be the same. as the last, even if you're doing it again. Most of my animations, you know, I can get them pretty close, so we'll see how it comes out. But this is what we're going to be animating. Okay, so we're going to start out with a blank slate here. New file, new scene, and we're going to create our references. Skateboard, skateboard, boom, comes in. I don't remember what skateboard, where I found this rig. I think it was ArtStation or something. Anyway, I scaled my skateboard up 1.2. This gets it to a spot where it comes up to about her hips. That's the way skateboards are. So yeah, then I'm going to just go ahead and create my first pose. Okay. I just wanted to take some time to give a super, super huge thanks to Ligma348. They sent me a super thanks on YouTube. I was so excited. I told everyone about it. So thank you so much, Ligma348, for giving my first super thanks ever. And it was amazing. It was awesome. I really appreciate it. I was freaking out. If anybody wants to give me super thanks, I for sure will tag you and at you and like give you a shout out on my videos, okay? Because I think that is so awesome and it really shows me that you guys are really appreciative. Thank you so much. Super thanks to Ligma348 for giving my very first super thanks. You rock. Thanks everyone. Happy animating. Okay, so something I want to point out that I was kind of told when I was, you know, starting out, like when I was doing my walk cycles and I would show the people that needed to do, like I needed help understanding walk cycles more, right, is something that I never even thought of. And it's like when people do their walk cycles, when people are walking, they actually will take a full stride and they will spread their legs out as far as they can naturally, right? People are, and so like, what does that mean, right? Because like you can really spread your legs really far, and like she could like spread her legs this far. I don't think that's how it is, okay? So what I mean is like get your legs into a position that feel kind of natural for the height of the character, okay? Let's say like this is a good starting point, okay? And then I'm gonna go, and this is the way I do all of my walk cycles, is I will first spread the feet to kind of get a feel like what the feet are doing, okay? And then I will actually pull. I will pull the heel up with I'll pull a heel up on my passing pose, and I will not use it as a I will not use the actual control to pull her heel up, okay? I don't think you should do that. And the reason I don't think you should do that is because you get a more natural, like I did this on my ball rail walk cycle tutorial, is like when the foot plants, okay, and it goes down, if you're using the actual control, you actually have to add a couple more frames in there where the foot plants and then it goes down, but it has to go forward, because if you're using the rotation of the like ankle of the foot control, you're not going to have that planting where it hits right here on the heel and then it's going down. You're going to have this instance if you don't like counter animate or where the foot goes like this, okay? So I always pull the foot forward and then have the heel doing that, and then have the foot go down like that. And I actually, you know, some rigs have this attributes over here. I don't, if the rig has it available, I'll actually use the actual like joints that the rigger has given me, like these pivots instead of these ones here, okay? These attributes. I won't use the attributes. I'll use the actual, I just have more, I feel like I have more control that way, and I can like separate like the foot controls, and like if I'm having a problem, I can just go to the foot control and delete all the animation on there and see where the problem is. Others may be like, there's too many controls that you're putting too much animation on. I can't stand that. I do it this way. It just works for me. Do whatever works for you, okay? So I'm keeping that control at 0, keeping it flat. I do want to go ahead and point out right here, there is a stretchy. I do not want stretch on because that makes it so my leg stretches and I can't bend the character and it's just weird, and yeah. So anyway, as you pull the foot forward, you're going to notice that it stretches out and you're going to naturally want to be like, oh, no, I need to pull it like this. So this is how you like determine like the distance of a character's like natural stride, okay? Is you're going to pull that foot forward and then you're going to rotate the heel upward. And if at any point, like, you're rotating the heel like this, okay, and like this is about as much as somebody is going to like rotate their heel upward when they're going to take the stride, okay, because like and a lot of animators, I even used to do this, there's like, I'll pull that up all the way up there like that to have like a nice foot slap, right? You're like, oh yeah, I want the foot to slap down really nice, and like, don't do that, okay? We're gonna look at some reference, like, people don't actually flop their foot that much, right? And maybe if you're going really super cartoony, you can do that, but people don't put their foot up like super high like this on their leg, right? I'm gonna show my arms. This is my leg. People actually don't put their foot up that high in the air or this high in the air, okay? They don't actually do that, and the reason they don't do that is because like, it's breaking the ankle. You can see here, like, the angle of my actual leg to my foot, the ratio is like really big. And so it's just not logical for somebody to do that, or like anatomically they can't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it down to, like, I don't know, a 35 or 45 degree angle. Okay, I would say, well, this is like 45 compared to the leg, right? Compared to the leg, that's a 90 degree angle on the leg, right? So maybe like a 35 degree angle. And so once I've got in that position, and it's obviously the knee's obviously not bending, I'm gonna pull it back here and go to there when the leg starts to bend, okay? And then I am going to move back here to these controls, and I think, let's see, the toe flop there, and then I have that foot flop. The other thing I want to say, guys, is thank you for all so much for all the support you've given me. Please smash that like and subscribe button, okay? Punch your computer screen. Smash that like and subscribe button with your mouse, to be honest. It will make me so happy, and, you know, keep this community growing. Thanks, everyone. Happy animating. So it looks like on this rig we do actually have to use this attribute right here, but that's okay in my eyes, because like, I'm still using this control to control the foot roll, but I'm not going to use this control to, let's say, do the toe pivot. Okay, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use it for the foot roll, and I'm keeping it separate, right? So anyway, so I'm going to do this and pull that up. Not a whole ton. You're not going to do a whole ton. You're going to do it more. You're going to find it more as you're like coming off the foot, coming off the ground on its way back. It's going to come off the ground. Okay. We got to turn off the stretchy. Boom. Okay. And now let's pull that back forward. Okay. Now, obviously, that's a really small step. Okay. But this is the first thing I'm going to do when I'm going to separate my feet out and get those in kind of like in feeling natural and right. But then I'll go ahead and pull this down. Okay, just a little bit, not a whole ton, because you gotta remember, like, people don't bend their, like, people aren't gonna like go super far down when they're doing their, like, when they're walking. They want to make it as easy as possible, and so like the farther you spread your legs, the farther you have to go down, like this. And nobody spreads their legs that much. Okay, so just kind of feel your way out through your character. Okay, and just kind of noodle it until you get this pose right. And this is exactly what I do every time. And this feels pretty good to me right there, those settings. And maybe, you know, do these, you know, play with it a little more and just, you know, play with it until it feels good. Okay, I'm going to point my feet out. That's something else I do right off the bat when I get into my walk cycles. Something that I'm going to also say about, like, when I do my walk cycles is I actually only focus on the legs first, the legs and the hips first. I don't do anything else. And I take the legs and the hips pretty dang far. And the reason I do that is because, let's get the skateboard out of the way. The reason I do that is because the hips are really what the hips and the legs, and I said this in my ball Rio tutorial of just the hips and the leg tutorial. The hips and the leg are driving everything about a walk cycle, right? They're the driving factor, and like your core is pushing you forward, okay? But the core is working with the hips and the legs. And so, you know, once you get the hips and the legs down, like everything kind of like flows naturally and just kind of like you build everything on top of the hips and the legs, okay? Quite literally. So yeah, moving on. I'm going to leave the, I used to animate my walk cycles in IK, and I switched over to FK because FK can be scary, okay? It really can be. because you don't have as much control, or you have to actually like care about your poses, I guess you could say. On FK, you actually have to like think about like what the arm's doing, and it's 3 different controls. And so it's like with IK, there's only one control, and it's like kinematics, right? And the elbows go in and everything's going. You don't have to worry about so much. But push yourself to do the FK stuff, okay? And you will get better at FK. And in fact, I use FK on a lot more of my animations now, because like only when I'm like planting the hands or something like that will I use IK. Because like the arms are going to follow the body, and you can add really nice overlap and everything. I knew when I was younger animator, I used IK a lot, and I kind of just like forced my way through the IK, the struggles with the IK, and built my overlap with the IK. But I promise you, like if you can get used to using FK on your arms to build a lot of your animations, you're gonna it's gonna feel so much better, because you can actually build good overlap. Because guess what? The arms, they follow the chest, whatever your chest is doing, unless the arms are like doing something super like dynamic. They're gonna follow your chest. They're attached to your chest, right? Your shoulders, and then your arm, elbows. They're attached to your chest. And so, but even when I'm like kind of talking to you guys, I'm like, well, I'm still moving my chest, and my arms are still moving. I'm just having dynamic hand movements, okay? And I'm kind of doing this, which these are just my hands, okay? And I'm kind of getting on a tangent here, but I just want to like really express the importance of getting used to FK, okay? And that's what we're going to use in our walk cycles. And then we're going to, she's casually walking. We're not going to have the shoulders up here super high. She's not some, buff dude. She's a chick, and she's casually walking down the street, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and bend our arms. Also, like, every animator is different. I start in the contact pose. Some animators start in the passing pose. I've always done the contact pose, and actually, I might switch over to doing the passing pose instead of the contact pose, because it feels you can like the curves are more naturally like ungrafted or flowing into each other. So, I actually when I start animating in when I start with the contact pose, and then I get pretty much through my animation, I'm like, oh, I should have animated it in the contact pose. The passing pose. And you can just move it down the timeline and do some adjustments, and it'll be fine. But I make things hard on myself. Anyway, so we want to get the hips pointing in the right direction, which is like this. I tend to not move my actual core control when I'm doing this, because like that will move the entire chest. Okay, and like that moves the whole body, and I don't want to do that, because the whole body isn't going to be doing like the hips are kind of their own entity, and you want to be able to control the chest without getting all this movement in there as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the hips pointing in the right direction, and then let's go ahead and build out our chest. Chest is in the right direction, and I think it's super important that you turn on the world space on the arms personally, because then you can really kind of control how much they're swaying. I use world space because of this exact reason. The shoulders, I'm able to control these the shoulders without actually moving this control. Like I'm able to like do things with my shoulders like this, like shrugs and stuff, without actually like making the arm go up. And I will use that almost the whole time. World space on the shoulders and arms and stuff. Anyway, let's step back. Just a little bit. Just have the chest doing just a little bit. You can say over here, like, let's make this a 3, and then let's make this a -3. See what that does for us. Okay, we want to make sure that they feel like they're doing the same amount of work. Okay, and since this shoulder is going forward, our arm needs to come forward like this. Okay. Then our arm is going to go back here. Swing back like this. We want to put it in the shoulder as well. Bring this shoulder forward like this. Okay. And I actually build a generic walk cycle every time first, and then I'll add on top of that my, like, the swagger, right? Where she's like kind of in the little quick tutorial that I showed, or like the walk cycle before we got started on this tutorial, is she's kind of got a little bit like she's leaning more on one side. Okay, I build that after, but I get the general walk cycle working first. Okay. Okay, now moving on. I want to now attach her skateboard to her hand. Okay. And this would be pretty easy because with the skateboard, it's actually not going to be doing anything except for completely following the hand. Okay, we're not going to be actually putting any animation on there. And there's a really easy thing we can do to making sure the hand follows, but we can also add some like a little bit of overlap on the skateboard itself. And so the way we do that is we go ahead and get our skateboard into place, right? And the fingers are going to curl around the skateboard like this. Okay, the bottom knuckles. And again, like I'm gonna only take my first initial poses about 70 to 80% of the way there. That way, it's not like the biggest deal if I have to change it, right? Don't ever take your very first poses. Don't try to get that first pose 100% of the way there, because likely you're going to change it. Okay, let's go ahead and save. I already created the walk. I'm gonna go ahead and walk toot. Okay. Save that. Make sure that if Maya crashes, which is likely, that I don't completely lose all my work and cry. Let's see. Just a little note about these curls. I don't usually use the curls because it takes control away from the hand pose that I like. I just like controlling my hand poses. So just on that, I think I've covered it in one of my other videos before. Anyway, so get the skateboard generally into place, which is right here. We're going to have to finagle it just a little bit. You got to take into account like the fact that she doesn't have a squishy hand. Okay, this is pretty mechanical, hard surface. So you want to make sure that her it's not protruding at all. If it were a hand where it's like got flesh and stuff, I would say you can make it so it's penetrating just a little bit, because that's going to happen in real life anyway. But this is a hard surface, so you want to make sure that it's not penetrating at all through the geometry. And gonna get our thumb in place here. So now we got it generally in the right place based off of the A pose, okay, just the generic A pose. And now we are going to constrain that, okay, super easy to do, nothing crazy. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and go to our outliner. We click on our skateboard root control. And we go to our outliner. I'm going to press F, make sure we zone, F in or whatever on the actual control here, so we see what we have selected. Okay. Now, important note here: when you're constraining things, you got to make sure you constrain to the group above it. Otherwise, we won't be able to add any animation if we wanted to onto this control actually, because you can't animate parent constraints. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click there on the hand control. This is what we want it to follow. Whoops. This is what we want it to follow here, just like this. And then once we click this, then we're going to click the group of the skateboard. It's the root control group. Then we're going to parent constrain that. Just do a regular old parent constraint. Okay. Now we can do this, but also we can animate this if we want to. If we want to have that kind of control, you want to parent constrain to the group above it. Otherwise, you will not be able to animate the actual control, which is bad. Okay. Because you might decide that you actually want to do that. So we're going to get it into a more natural pose where she's kind of holding it. We want to make sure that it's not penetrating anything. So we're going to have that, and then maybe we want to rotate this a bit, just like this, and maybe not. Maybe for the sake of the tutorial, we don't care if it's penetrating a little bit. Or something really cool about this rig is you can actually pull this down right here. And man, look at that. That's why. That's another reason why this rig is so cool. We're going to be doing some attack animations with these extended arms. It's really cool system that Roman built in there. And so we can go ahead and pull it down a bit. Oh, looks like our skateboard penetrates higher than that. I didn't realize that. That's okay. I might just go ahead and let it pass for the sake of the tutorial, for the sake of the animation. get that finger just a little bit like this, and then do the same thing here, and just like, this is a natural pose, by the way, like super natural pose for the pinky to be curling a lot less than like the index and the middle finger. That's a super natural pose, and that's what the hand would actually do. I actually, when I hold my skateboard when I'm walking, I actually will dangle a bit, and it'll hit my forearm. It'll be forward like this, and then it will dangle, and like the back wheel will touch my forearm like this, and that's how I walk with my skateboard. And so I kind of want to build that in. It feels the most natural. Okay, it's not going to be just like super linear like this, where she's holding it straight out like this. Like, nobody does that. Like, skateboarders don't actually do that, and that's kind of a detail that you have to notice. Okay, where you like they're holding a skateboard and they're going to rest the back wheel on their forearm as they're walking. Okay, and that's actually honestly going to dictate like how much we that's going to dictate like the heaviness of the skateboard, right? And how heavy it is, and like how much our arm is actually rotating while we're walking. Okay, let's move this in. I'm fine with this penetrating on her leg like this. I am okay with that because her leg is flesh. Because her leg is flesh, which is a gross word, but because her leg is fatty and fleshy, it's okay. It's going to that flesh is going to compress in, right? It's not going to get that detail in the animation for our purposes of our animation, but that's what is going to happen in real life. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this into position. This hand. Really don't have to do anything fancy here. Maybe actually, you know, since she's an awesome, cool skater girl, we're actually going to give her, this is what I did in the animation, the actual animation. I kind of gave her a half fist, not like a full fist, because she's not going to punch somebody. She's not ready to punch somebody. I mean, maybe she will in one of the other animations, but for right now, she's just going along, right? She's just having a good, you know, she's going to the skate park. So she's like, yeah, I'm excited to go to the skate park. I'm cool, so yeah, I'm going to the skate park. Anyway, so that's a nice for now, right? There's things that can be cleaned up on here, but I'll do it a little bit, but not much. You know, I don't want to go too detailed on this. This is like doing this kind of stuff is like polishy stuff, and that's not what we want to do for this. We're gonna do that in a later video for the polishing stuff, but for the purposes of this, like, quick tutorial, I shouldn't say quick tutorial because it's going to be longer than a quick one. There's going to be a few different tutorials based around this walk cycle. But anyway, tangent. So pull our arm here. It's going to be going back like this. Something else I want to point out, people very seldom straighten their arm completely, even on a walk cycle. Okay, I know you'll learn in school, like, when you're doing, you straighten the arm out, right? You straighten the arm out. You really don't do that. Okay, you've got muscles in there, right? There's still tension in there. Keep that tension in there. Don't like straighten the arm out completely unless like there's a very specific reason. Arms don't do that. They have tension in there. They have like muscles and stuff that are keeping them bent. Okay, so make sure you don't straighten the arms completely. Okay, so I think for our purposes right now, we've got a good old contact pose. Okay, maybe not. You know, let's keep going. Her back is still like she's still like super upward. Okay, do that. Oh, let's put our head into world space. Animating the local space is an absolute nightmare, and the only time you should ever do that is if you are doing flips or something crazy like that, where the head has, you don't want the world, you don't want to have to like animate the head turning around and around. People walk, just hold their neck forward. Okay, that's a big mistake that I see animators make, is like they keep the neck like super straight up, and it's like, dude, get that neck going forward. And I got some nasty hair hanging out. Anyway, get that neck going forward, right? Just like this. People's necks go forward, especially nowadays, right? When they're gaming, right? They're sitting there gaming, and they pull the neck forward. Just pull the neck forward. It's natural, okay? Just like that. She's confident, so her chest is gonna be puffed up a bit. This is the contact pose, so we are making it so the hips are rotating downward. Okay, and that's a pretty easy rule of thumb to me to remember, is like the hips are going to point downward. That might be a little too much rotation on the hips. Let's pull that back, rein that back a little bit. Now it feels more natural. She's not like super stiff straight up, right? And we don't want that. Maybe we can poke this belly out just a little bit, so she has a nice little arch on her back. She's fit, right? You have these fit people where their back is strong, their core is strong, and their back is holding them up really strong and tight. Okay, and that's just yeah, that's a gut. She ain't got no gut. Let's see if this can. Sometimes I just like to mess around with controls and make people fat. I like to give them a gut or something, and I'll also make them super skinny. But it doesn't look like this rig has the ability to scale like that. So we have our very first contact pose. Now let's move on to our passing pose, the infamous passing pose. First of all, yikes. Let's go ahead and make sure that we press S on that sucker so that we set our first pose. If I would have scrubbed through the timeline, I would have completely destroyed my first pose. I also, another note that I want to add is I probably will end up making her stride a little bit bigger. So don't be married to this stride, this first pose that you do. Okay, it's going to change. I'm telling you right now, it's going to change. Don't get yourself married to this pose. And as you're going through the animation, I probably rotate the hips and the chest a little too much, and I'm gonna tone them down. It's fine, right? It's fine. We're just getting in there. We're just blocking it out. Okay. Now, in my method of animating, as I do in all my videos, I go ahead and I do clamped and stepped, and I work in clamped and stepped until I am ready to add my keyframes, or my in-betweens, okay? And I still work in clamped and stepped at that point. This walk cycle, I know it's 32 frames. I knew that before I even started animating the first time around. I knew it was going to be 32 frames. That's about the speed. I find that when I do walk cycles, generic walk cycles, that's the speed in which people walk, right? At least feels natural. Oh, also a note, I do animate in 30 frames like all of my animations, unless I very specifically am on a job that needs 24 frames a second, then I will always work in 30 frames a second. Also, with that, Unreal will convert it anyway, unless you make it not converted, I think, in Unreal. I'm not even sure. And so 30 frames a second. That's what we want to animate at, okay? That's what I always animate at, unless I'm specifically told to animate at 24 frames a second. Okay, so build in our contact pose. What I will do with my contact pose is I just go ahead and zero this out. Zero everything out. Just get it back to its default position, right? And the reason I just go back to default position with the foot is because the riggers just animate it in, they rig it right directly under the character, right? So it's just zero it out, and it's going to be directly under the character, and that's where you want your passing pose to be, right? Directly under the character. Now, I usually end up changing this, but I will rotate the ankle down here like this for the passing pose. I end up actually changing it, but just for readability and my own silly purposes, I go ahead and rotate it anyways, and it ends up usually, like I said, I usually end up changing it anyway. So, yeah, let's bring these feet in just a little bit farther, closer together like this. Okay. Another note that I always see animators do: the feet, once they contact the ground and hit the ground, they are going to stay generally in that pose, and they're going to go straight back. They are never going to go in like this. Okay, they're never going to go slide inward. They're going to plant and then stick. So you can just literally pull them straight back. Okay, when you're doing those that part of it, we'll get to that later. Okay, moving on. My lessons are always wacky, and my ADHD kicks in, and I just kind of start rambling, so I apologize, guys. I want to pull those knees in a bit, okay? I just like that daintiness of that, even though she's awesome, skateboarder. She still has daintiness. I wanted to give her daintiness. I'm not going to blanket statement she's a woman and she's dainty. That's just something I want to give her. Right? And that's fine. So, now we've zeroed out those legs. We're going to go ahead and pull her up. Okay? Now, something to note. Always, 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 you're going to pop that hip, okay, on that straight pose. Like, that's something that animators do not do. They like, that's just struggle, okay? And it was a big struggle for me, too, is like, and you're going to go through a lot of this on the actual tutorial, like, throughout, like you're going to pop that hip. That hip is going to pop, and it's going to come out, okay? We're going to go ahead and rotate. Go ahead. I just zero this out. And then, so we get like an actual zero of the hips completely forward. And when we actually get into the detailed stuff, it's not going to be so like forward like that right there. But just for ease, again, getting my pose to 70 to 80% right there. Okay, like this. The hip is going to pop out just like that. I want to, you know, adjust this accordingly so it's not completely 100% overextended straight. We want just a tiny bit of bend in there, okay? Because, and the reason I say that is because you want to, is completely straightening it out makes it look a little bit weird. And as long as you maintain this pose here almost straight, that through the passing, you know, through the passing pose and going back to the next contact pose, it's going to look okay. Anyway, so, boom, that side. We're going to zero these out. Oops, sorry. I'm not going to zero. Find which one we're going to zero out. There we go. To the Y that we're going to zero out. To this day, my brain does not comprehend, which I have to go in here all the time and do this. And just like, which one is it, right? And it's so funny. Anyway. So don't worry if you guys are doing that and you're like, oh, I always have to find it. It's like, I do. And I've been in the industry for 13 years, you know, going on 14. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? And I'm like, I'm too ADHD to remember that, that rotation. I'm just too ADHD to remember that. So we just zero that out. Arm is coming forward. The other arm is coming back. I don't touch the head until the very end. Honestly, I did not touch the head till the very end because, I just have, like, the head is the last thing. It's on the very top, working from bottom to top, okay? The top is the last thing I'm going to touch because it's moving the most subtly, okay? Your head is keeping in balance, and so it's not going to do that much stuff, okay? And that's another thing I said in my quick tutorials, like, animators will really accentuate the head, you know, like, doing its stuff, and it's like, it doesn't do that much. Less is more, okay? Less is more. Now, we've got this pose worked out pretty much to the way it should be, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to just copy and paste my first contact pose into the next contact pose, okay? And then I'm going to grab this here and I'm going to copy, okay? And then I'm going to go over to this foot and I'm going to paste. Boom. Gets it back into that position. And then I'm going to grab this, zero this out here. Zero out any rotations on this. Oh, no. My bad. We got to zero out our heel. And then we got to give it its foot roll. Wait. Yes, we got to get its foot roll. So I should not have gotten rid of that foot roll. My bad. Let's see what the foot roll is on this side. It's 19.2. We can just go give that an even 19. Okay. Give that an even 19. You'll notice, like, it's not touching the ground. The reason it's not touching the ground is because I don't have it going to the other side at all. Okay, I need to have it going to the other side, and that's what we'll build in our other, like, it's naturally, it's going to touch the ground now, okay? So we can just go ahead and press 6 so it gets the same exact rotation on that side. Now we've got it touching the ground. And just so we can test it out, make sure it's not overextending, our overextension is at 18. Okay, so 19 is where our like nice little sweet spot. Now we're gonna go here. Oops, sorry. We're gonna go here. Now we're going to copy. In fact, we can grab the heel too, since our heel is going up, and we can go ahead and copy this here, and then paste that here. Boom, done. We got that, right? And we have our, oh, I pasted it on the wrong one. I do that all the time too. It's like, get that crap out of here. Okay, just like that. Okay. This phone is coming forward. Oops. I'm trying to do this without Animbot, right? Because I do all my videos that way. Is I don't use Animbot because a lot of people can't afford it, and there's ways to do it without Animbot. It takes a little bit longer. Obviously, Animbot is a tool to help you. It's not to replace what you can do. And so, yeah. Anyway, that rotation is 6. We don't want to change this rotation at all, and we don't want to change this rotation at all. Okay, those are like the good rotations. Only rotation that we want to change is the Y, the side to side. Okay, our hips turning and stuff. Same thing here. We don't want to change the rotation of the up and down and everything. Only rotation we want to change is that one. So the hips and the chest are countering the same amount. Okay, let's see here. Are we countering? That's at 3 here. Yeah, okay. If you frame through here, you'll notice that the chest and the hips are countering. Okay? The chest is not doing that much. Okay? Just like in my video, the chest is not doing that much. Your hips are the driving factor, not your chest. You don't want to have the chest leading the action. Now we got our contact, passing, contact. And honestly, we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Oh, my bad. We need to make sure that the arms are doing the right stuff. So we're going to go ahead and copy. Oops. Copy, and you're going to press play blast like I do almost every freaking time I right click down on the timeline. Copy and paste. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Copy and paste over here. Boom. Just like that. We got to also do the same thing to our shoulders. Copy and paste. And you could hook those up to hotkeys, right? So you don't have to right click so many times. I don't, walk cycles are like what I use that most. And so I've gotten used to doing that. So anyway, whatever you prefer. Now we're going to do that same exact thing on the contact passing pose. Okay. So I'll go ahead and fast forward through this. Just kidding. We'll go ahead and do the copy and paste thing with this as well. Something to know, guys, you know, this might be obvious, but we want to make sure the body is coming over to the other side, okay? So that is on our X rotation, X translation. So we're going to go over here, go to -2.3, okay? It's going back to the other side. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing with our hips, is we want to make sure our hips are countering the right way, and that is our Z rotation. So we're going to go ahead -8.5. Okay, just like this. And the cool thing is like the Y rotation is at 0, or it should be. The Y rotation is at 0, and so we can just go ahead and press 0 on that, and it will zero that out, and it makes it a lot easier. And so then, let's see, we might want to do -1.4 here. Okay, so the hips are going over to the other side, and that might be, I might find that that's way too much when in fact, I'm going to decide that it is way too much. Let's just do 1 and -1. And the cool thing is that the chest is rotated at 0. The cool thing is that the arms, other than the legs are really the only thing that is really, you need to copy and paste on the passing pose, because the arms, you already created this pose in the middle, and the arms are just going to come sway back and forth with that anyway. So you don't have to build that out again. Then we are going to copy and paste the first frame to the last frame. And that gives us our full cycle. Now, like I said, I usually end up doing 32 frames on a walk cycle. Okay, that's a pretty good speed. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add 6 frames, 8 frames, 8 frames. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So there's 8 frames, so it's 32 in total. Okay. And I'm gonna make sure that I am in clamped and stepped on my graph editor. I'll do it stacked. Okay. Do panels perspective here, and then panel graph editor here. Bada boom. 6. Get those textures back. Let's go ahead and save this. Oh, my scariness. I have not saved it till now. So here's my generic walk cycle for my character, right? Notice maybe as she's doing her passing poses, maybe I want to like pull these in. And after you like do your initial timing like I just did, you'll be able to kind of play, really see the animation and how it's flowing. And that's one of the reasons why I actually do it that way is it's like I'm able to see, I block, right? And I'm able to see like the major blocking poses that I don't work in straight ahead, is just because like I'm able to see what this is doing in blocking like this. And some people like working more in the spline mode and they just like seeing it spline. I just can't do that. I never have been able to. I tried when I was going to school so hard and it wasn't working for me. Something that we need to do is we need to make sure that we are going forward on our stride, okay? Just a little bit. I want to make sure that so it's 4 here, we're just going to even 4, and then we're going to do an even 4 here, okay? And that might be too much. Let's tone that down. I might end up changing it. She just feels like she's a little too far back right now with her poses, okay? She looks like she's just a little too far back. We might be able to just, pull her forward all together. Yeah, just pull her forward all together. Let's see. Wrong one. And see, I'm doing it right now. Oh. There we go. Yeah, I just pulled her forward. Now, doing that is going to make it so we need to give her just a little bit more foot roll. Okay, so she's not completely overextended here. Just a little bit more foot roll at 19. Oh, looks like we might not have actually had to change it at all. This one, the foot roll, there is no foot roll for some reason. So let's go ahead and put that at 19. See what that gives us. And sometimes, you might have to give one a little bit more emphasis. If they're truly matching on each side, you won't. But the cool thing is later on in our tutorial, we're actually going to copy and paste one side to the other. So, like, this is just to get the general poses in, okay? Another note is I did build in on my passing poses the foot coming up here. This actually might be just a little too much still. I'm going to pull those down, okay? The knee's bending a lot, and that foot is actually coming up really far. Feet don't actually come up that far. Like I said, we're going to be going over our reference here in a minute. Okay, so this is feeling pretty good. I'm not going to touch the head until I'm actually in spline. Hips are doing their thing. The arm is doing its thing. Maybe let's give her a little bit of a facial pose, right? She's a badass, so she's going to have angry eyebrows a little bit. And she's going to be smirking. Make sure that you grab all of those facial controls and you put them at 0, okay? Otherwise, they're going to be doing some wonky stuff. And now, I like to pose the face, right? I didn't need to, but it kind of reminds me, hey, this girl needs to be looking like she's badass. So, her face is going to be, doing some, she's confident. She's like, yeah, I know I'm cool. Maybe give the skateboard just a little bit of overlap, okay? It feels like it's bent a little too far back on this pose, so I'm going to change that. And then on this pose too, it's too far back, so I'm going to pull that forward there. And I might end up changing that as we go forward. Like go forward in the tutorial and with our animation. I'll go ahead and rotate this out. Looks like it is penetrating through the leg, so we want to get rid of that. And this does not look natural, right? It comes back and then it rotates forward again. It needs to rotate, continue to keep rotating outward. to make it a nice loop and circle kind of thing. Okay, so I think we have a nice little like blocked out walk cycle here. So just like all my animations, I'm going to go ahead and grab all of my controls and then less than sign S, okay, and that's going to give a key on every single control, on every single keyframe, okay, super important, so that nothing starts floating off into space as we're like animating, right? So that we're doing there. Then we're gonna go ahead and spline, hit the poop button, okay. And then we're gonna change this to auto legacy. That's what I use always. I'm gonna save it. Okay, now let's look at our garbage. Oh man, what garbage. It's so bad. I hate looking at freshly splined animation. Looks so bad. Unless you are like a super blocker plus, right? Somebody that like does crazy blocking. Then you are a genius, I guess. I just can't animate that way. So after I get to this point, this is exactly what I'll do. You want to animate the character moving forward in space, but you don't want to start out that way, making life way harder on yourself. You want to animate the character doing their poses in place, and then you want to have them animating forward in space, and then build your walk cycle off of that. That is like a key component. That is something you have to do. This walk cycle is not okay. A lot of animators will stop here and be like, hey, I did my walk cycle. No, you cannot do that, okay? And you can't just like grab the arms and have them do some little bit of overlap and all this stuff. There's a lot of work we have to do here, okay? And this is probably like phase 1 of our walk cycle tutorial and everything. And this is gonna be broken up into like maybe 2 or 3 different videos to really get across like how much goes into a walk cycle. Okay, so next step that I'm gonna do after I spline that, okay, the character's walking in place. The character's still going to remain walking in place, but what we're going to do is we're going to pull this forward, I don't know, 150, right? 150 units forward, okay? And we're going to see how that looks. Oh, but we have to delete all this first. So this is actually going forward in space, okay? Now, it looks really super bad right now because it's easing in and easing out. We need to make that constant. Okay, we need that constant. So we're going to go ahead and push that. It's a constant walk cycle now. Now with that, the legs, one of the most important things about a walk cycle is the feet are going to be constant the whole time. They can never ease in and ease out of anything. They have to be constant the whole time. Equal amount of distance on the frames. Not only that, but the feet have to match on both sides or you're going to get a character going limping, okay? You have to match the feet on both sides and we'll keep going on. We'll move forward with that, okay? As we walk, we'll talk about that more as we're doing our walk cycle, but that is so important, is you have to, those two things, constant feet constantly going, and they have to match on both sides. Okay, so what do we want to do with our feet? Going forward and back, just like our, because right now they're easing in and out of the translate Z. Okay, you'll see that they're easing in and out. Whoop. Just kidding. Translate Z here and translate Z here. So they're easing in and out. You see these smooth, nice peaks and valleys. That's no. We can't have that. We got to get rid of that. And we got to make them constant, okay? Linear. We don't want them to ease in and out of anything, okay? They need to be going at the same rate as our global control, okay? They need to be, as the global control is going forward, we need the feet going backward in space, okay? At the same rate. So now we want to look at what, does the character look like they're walking on ground, right? Let's go ahead and make a plane, okay? I don't usually do this, but I've animated a lot of walk cycles, and so I don't really have to. But let's go ahead and make a plane. And if you notice, our feet are sliding, okay? We made our feet constant. We're not paying attention to the popping of the legs. We're not paying attention to, we're literally just paying attention if our feet look like they're sliding, which they are sliding, okay? And something that I want to do to make this just a little bit easier on the viewer, okay, when you're viewing this, is you're going to create a camera. This is going to make it so we can look at our walk cycle, walk in place, while still going forward. It's kind of a trick, okay? So we're going to create our camera, then we're going to go into our camera's perspective, okay? And I like to work in a 3-pane like side-by-side top, split top, just like this. I'm going to go to camera here, and then perspective right here, and then I'm going to put my graph editor at the bottom, okay? So I can be looking graph editor here. And I actually set up a different setup in my ball Rio tutorial. I have since learned a better setup. So that's, whoever watches this, ignore what I did in ball Rio. You can do it that way, but it's a little bit more work. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a camera, okay? And then we are going to create a group with nothing in it. It's at 0. Now we're going to put our camera inside of this group. Now, our group is at 0, and our camera isn't, but that's okay. What we are going to do is we're going to make it so that camera, the group, is going to follow the root control anywhere it goes. But still, our camera underneath is still able to maintain whatever it's doing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click our global control. Then we're going to click our group, and we're going to go to constrain, and we're going to do a point constraint. Okay, you want to make sure maintain offset is on. Okay, so apply. That doesn't do anything to our camera, right? But the cool thing with this is that we can still rotate around our character like this. And because this group is the parent of our camera, look at this. She's going to walk forward in space, but she's going to stay in the same spot on camera. If we get rid of this, if we get rid of the thing here and we get rid of this plane, she's walking in place. But she's going forward, okay? You're kind of cheating a little bit. You can say it's cheating, but like she's actually going forward and she is walking in place at the same time, so you're able to get that in place walk and get her walking forward. Because if we go here to our perspective, she's walking forward in space. And this is the way we can make sure that like our feet aren't sliding. Okay? So, and then if you want, if you're like, okay, she's still walking forward in space here because of the plane, just get rid of the plane, turn it off for a bit, and then look at it like this. Okay? So, we don't want to make it so her feet aren't sliding anymore, right? And so what we want to do is we want that global control is going just a little too quickly, okay? And so we want to pull it back, let's say, to 120, okay? Let's experiment. That's half of animating, right? It's experimenting. Boom. That's perfect. I already animated this walk cycle, right? So I know what speed it needed to be at. But her feet aren't sliding anymore on the floor, right? They are perfectly they're planting and staying in that spot. Okay, just like that. Notice that this foot actually is sliding, that little stinker. And that just means that our feet aren't actually matching. Okay, our legs they aren't actually matching, and that's okay. The reason it's okay is we want to focus on one leg and we just copy over to the other side. So this leg is not sliding. Okay, it's staying in place the whole time where we want it to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my the rest of my walk cycle on top of that. So I'm going to plant these feet. That's the first thing I personally do is I plant the feet, and I plant it in about 3 frames. And I'm very well might change that later, okay? But that's the first thing I do. I have the feet plant, right? In fact, I want to go 2 frames. Plant in 2. Boom, okay? Plant in 2. It's the foot plant is happening at the same rate the leg and the knee is coming forward. So boom, plant that foot. Okay? And then you'll notice that her foot comes off the ground right here. Obviously, we don't want that. Okay? But we also don't want her to start rolling her ball. That's another mistake that animators make, is they'll start just be like, oh, I'm going to do the ball roll. I'm just going to make the ball roll happen right now. Don't do that, okay? When your body is above your leg, there's no ball roll happening yet. In this case, it is, I pulled her forward a little bit because it felt a little more natural that way. So we can, but like the body is nearly directly under the leg here. We cannot start ball rolling on this frame. Okay, you can't do that. You need to ball roll on the next frame. Just barely. You want to maintain this leg, this bentness. Okay, it's not maintaining yet right now. We need to go to maybe 2. Let's try 2. See that? The leg now, the knee is actually not changing its like bent, how much it's bent. Okay. Another thing we can do to make it so we, instead of changing the foot roll, if we don't want to change the foot roll and we want to keep that, we can pull her down. Okay. But we are now, with pulling it down like that, we are now setting the stage for how bent that leg is. And that leg bentness needs to be consistent the whole time. So maybe we want to pull her up just a bit. So that's our straight leg. And then that straightness maintains. You'll notice that it pops into being straight right here. That's because we established that in our keyframe. So what we need to do is we need to now ball roll, adjust the ball roll so our leg maintains that straightness. And I honestly, every single one of my walk cycles, I actually frame through on each and every one of these frames so that I get a true ball roll. Okay? Or like it's like, I don't want to say like a true ball roll, but it's like how do I explain this? I maintain that I make sure that that leg is straight, maintains the same straightness the whole time. I actually go and I keyframe. I won't do that quite yet because I don't need to yet. I'm just trying to make sure I get the feel of my feet first. Accurate, right? So there's something else that we need to do here. Okay, the foot starts, you'll notice this pop. Foot comes forward, right? And your natural instinct is like, okay, well, pull it back. Don't do that. Well, no, yes, do that. Sorry, yes, do that. But you don't just want to like pull it back and then adjust this. What we need to do is we need to pull it back, okay, really far. So in our graph, it's coming back. Oh, and it looks like we need to reset this. So we need this straight line to be coming back to here. We need this. So on all of my walk cycles, go about 3 frames after. Depends on the walk cycle, but in this case, I go 3 frames after. We want that line to be straight from here to here, straight, right? Line up. And I usually will leave this keyframe here. You'd be like, okay, well, delete that. I like to keep that keyframe there just so it marks like halfway on my animations. I'd like to mark that, and I keep that keyframe there, but I keep that line going straight down into here. And that means that like our leg is fully going back. Now what we want to do is we want to grab that toe rotation, okay? And we grab that toe. Because our toe and our ball of our foot will stop rotating at the same time as our toe is starting to rotate and bring our feet off of the ground, okay? And we want to continue that foot roll off of our toes, okay? So we're going to do this. And that might be a little fast. And so let's go like this. And this is the reason why I like to use the like separate controls. This way I have like full control on like what my feet are doing. And I can I can really get in there and decide like what I want my feet to be doing or like my controls, okay? Oh, okay. Right here, it looks like foot is coming off the ground and our leg is straightening. You'll notice, okay? We don't want that, so what we're going to do is we're just going to control that, okay? Your leg is going to start bending at this point, okay? Your leg is going to start bending at this point when your foot's coming forward. And so you want to gradually bring that foot forward. If you keep the leg straight like this, it's going to look weird. People start bending their leg. And why do they start bending their leg? They start bending their leg right here is because after the contact pose, that's when the down pose is going to start happening. Okay? So let's build in that down pose right there. Boom. And we want to make sure, even though we're not doing anything to this foot yet, and we're just going to copy and paste the one leg to the other, we want to like kind of give off the same, like the foot's going to slap down just like this, okay, on our down pose. On our down pose, the foot slaps down. Boom. Okay, and you know, we can go ahead and go to this side as well and build in that. We want to make sure they match on both sides. Okay, so 3 frames after, we've got 3 frames here, 3 frames over here, and pull that down. Boom. And just because I see it now, I want to clean that up like this. Just like that. Now it's a true loop. This one matches this one. Okay, so this is our down pose. And it looks super janky right now, right? And we're going to continue that in the next video, okay? But this is our first video of our walk cycle series. Walk cycles are super in depth, so I want to make a lot of videos for you guys so that we can really deep dive into walk cycles and really break down all the stuff and really get down and dirty in a walk cycle. Because like, if you can learn a walk cycle, it really gets you conscious of what the hips are doing in all of your animations. I can say that. Once I started nailing down my walk cycles and what the hips are doing and the core is doing, it really pushed all of my other animations and it made them so much better because I understood what the core was doing with the hips and all that other stuff combined together. But thanks for watching this video, guys. We are going to, I promise, fix this in the next video, okay? And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.